Ahead of myself. Better remind me, gosh, you got to remind me. Some people got to watch the replay. So, okay, responsibilities as an investor inside of a community park, inside of a mobile home park. Now, right away, I'm going to tell you up front, okay? No deal is the same. No investment is the same. No park is the same. If certain rule regulations are a certain way in one park, it doesn't mean that that's the exact same way they do them in another park. Now, for the most part, what I've seen, and yes, I have read every fine print in every park at one point or another because I do want to see everything that is listed. Everything works out great when everybody gets along, everybody's on the same page, and everything's going swell. But what happens when it doesn't? Okay, that's when all that little fine print starts to come out. So you got to be careful on that. But from what I see, the majority, they're pretty equal. I mean, certain rules may change a little bit here and there. And against it, then if you're starting to change from city to city, state to state, you might see a bit of difference on there. But I mean, it could be as simple as even something like no pets. That we're starting to see a bit. Okay, no pets. We're starting to see a lot more communities in that. And I think it all started more so, not to get too much into that one, but it's more so certain breeds they didn't want to have. They felt like now they were, all in all, from my understanding, it was that people felt like they're being discriminated. So the park's idea was, well, we'll just eliminate no pets, period, across the board. So now whether you have a pit bull or you have a very sweet chihuahua, neither is allowed. But again, as part of you reading the rule regulations, is that a make or break for you? If I'm going to rent this home out or I'm going to sell it, is it possible that the end buyer, the resident to be, has a pet? Yes or no? If they do, well, that would disqualify them right away, wouldn't it? So there you go with the limitation happening already. So keep in mind on that. Definitely always read those. But responsibilities. Okay. Reading a couple comments on there. So responsibilities, that can go hand in hand as well, because you got to think, okay, what is my responsibilities as an investor in a mobile home park? What all is it that I'm responsible of on that lot? Think of the lot almost like a very teeny small piece of parcel real estate. You won't ever own the land, not in a park. There's a gray area to that in certain states, but for the most part, you're not. You simply rent the pad, you pay every month, you keep your mobile home on it, and that's how life works, right? Okay, there's certain responsibilities that the park owner has, even in that one pad. There's certain responsibilities that you have. I'm going to show you a picture of one, and this is very recent. As a matter of fact, we just sold this RTO. We converted, it was an RTO that we put on the market, but it delayed us, and it really caused a hiccup, a headache, because the residents were ready to move in. There was a mistake on the park's end, and it kind of cost us on our end. So this, I will also talk to you about how to address that, if you will. Okay. So one thing that I can think of right away that you would be responsible for is grass, lawn care. Now that could be part of, and this is one of the many questions of when you call a park manager. Okay, we went through this very strongly when we were out there yesterday. Okay, things that you should ask a park manager. What is the lot rent? When is the lot rent last increased? When is the lot rent going to be increased again? Can I set a set number for the next couple of years, 3 years at that number as an investor? Yes, no, all you can do is ask, right? It's going to benefit you at the end of the day. But along with that, what comes with the lot rent? Let's say lot rent is $350. Okay. Does that include anything? Water, trash, sewer, lawn care. Some parks, like one in East Dublin as well, we have where it covers all the above. So it's not so bad for $350 a month, right? But some parks don't provide any of that, which means they may actually still provide it, but now it's an extra expense to you. So something to keep in mind. But now, okay, if you do have to do lawn on the grass, there can be a rule regulation to that. It's how short it can be, how many times you're supposed to do it, certain things. I mean, again, it's all about communication there at that point with the park. But what about if there's a leak underground? What about if there's an electrical issue with the post, with the meter? We're going to get into that. I'm going to show you a picture of something that way, and this is exactly what we had to deal with. Bear with me. So, and I'm coming on to, let me see. There we are. So, lawn care is one thing. Bushes, maybe trim a tree, some branches, that sort of thing. Some of those things can be your responsibility. Trees can also be a responsibility of the park owner, park management. You know, if it's certain limbs or something, they may say, well, that's part of kind of like your lawn care, a little bit of a gray area in that, something to keep in mind. But if it's something like a dead tree, which we also had in another property, that would be something that is responsible of the landowner, right? The landowner, meaning the park owner, they're going to have to cut that tree. Now, obviously, I hope that all of you are insuring your assets, meaning your mobile homes. But if you don't and the tree falls on your home, then what? That's always a question posed to fact, right? So you have to make sure that certain things like that. And it is up to you to address it with them. Yes, the park management should be doing their job. They should be out there driving and seeing for things like that, potentials of a tree falling, a dead tree, etc. But it does not hurt if you see it and you point it out to them and then just kind of follow up on that professionally. The issue that we encountered, and this is the Central Georgia, is where we had, so this specific park here, very nice park, by the way. They're growing it and they're bringing brand new, there's probably 50 brand new mobile homes that just brought into the park. We rehab this one here. Now, as great of a job as my contractors do, I don't consider this one to look like a brand new unit. Here's their mistake. So they brought the whole crew to come in, set them up, level them, strap them, and everything they do. Okay, as part of the new rule regulation with the city, electrical is that they had to be, even though the pads were already prepped, they had to be upgraded to new posts, new panels, that sort of thing. There was nothing wrong with this one here, however, because we already had it during the rehab. As a matter of fact, we had power running to it. So everything checked out. Perfect world, right? Well, this crew of electricians come by, and again, they confuse this one for being a brand new unit, and they go in and start tearing post up meters, electrical pole, etc. And we have residents already trying to get into the home, already pre-approved to the park. They've already paid a deposit. They're ready to move in, and hey, we can't get power because the electrical company is saying that not until the meter and the new posts come in, which is going to be maybe a month or so. Big flag. Now we got an issue, right? Why am I telling you all this? There is some parks that are going to suggest that you take care of issues like this. And I'm going to just be open with you. There's some park managers and some park owners that are going to say, well, meaning can you handle, I'm going to meet a couple of people in here, a couple background noise. So, and they will ask you, do you want to split the bill? I don't know how many investors are on here. You may know what I'm talking about. Okay. What's your responsibility is your responsibility. What's the park owners or the park manager's responsibility is theirs. Again, look at the fine print, look at the rule regulations. You should even have a lot agreement with them that explains everything that's your responsibility. The best way I can put it is this way. Think about an RV or camper site, a community, a park, right? If you have a camper that you want to go place in one of these pads for a night, for a week, whatever it is, what are you doing at the time? You're renting the pad. You're renting everything that comes with it, right? You simply want to put your camper, which is considered a mobile home, by the way. You put your camper or your RV onto this pad, okay? You connect to utilities. So therefore you have the pad, you have the power, and you have the water. Some give you Wi-Fi, whatever, all accessories, that's fine. Would you rent that pad if you came in and asked them, which pad can I have? Well, you can have 2A, 3B, whatever, it doesn't matter. But hey, the electrical isn't working. Do you mind taking care of that? What would your response be to that? Don't confuse what's your responsibility and what is not. Okay, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. It is what it is. So when it comes to this here, there's no different. Think of this like one giant camper that you brought in, even if it was already here. It is now your investment. You simply own the mobile home, nothing else. So therefore, your responsibility is within the home. Not what's underground, not the panel, not the box. And if you can see this picture, obviously, you can see it right here. There we go. So this small panel is what they wanted to, and I mean, okay, long run, it will benefit us because they went ahead and upgraded at their mistake, right? It just cost us some time. But this is the smaller panel that they had, the meter. This is the new one that they had to come in. As you can see, redug, and then they went on to bust the pipe, by the way. So it was just a beautiful setup that they had going on out there, really, truly. So in the end, it'll benefit us because we'll have a brand new post, new meter, new everything. You shouldn't have any electrical problems. I haven't heard any at this point anymore. But again, it was that responsibility of them, because here's another thing. If I'm renting this pad from them and it does not have power that I can use, it does not have water that I can connect to for whatever reason. If it's shut down, there's holes, it's broken, whatever. You cannot really charge me for that lot. Not yet, because you don't have it prepped to where I can use it. Okay. I have to abide by the rule regulations, and so does the park and the management. So if they're giving me a pad for me to put my camper or my mobile home, you have to be able to provide everything that goes with what it says to give. Questions? Monica, I don't know if you can talk on here. If you can, if you see any questions, just let me
Yes,
know.
sir. I can, but I'm not seeing any questions so far.
Okay. So I definitely wanted to address this. This is something that I've seen in a few parks. And again, it's that relationship. You keep that relationship always going. You know, we don't ever like to see anybody getting taken advantage. And the main reason that I put this call together is because we're having a bit of an issue with a few units, a few mobile homes. And the park owner, they mean well, but do you think we can split the bill? I'll flat out tell you on this coaching call here, as a coach and mentor to most of these students on here, no, that is not your responsibility. I would even go to the extent of pushing to that. If you're not going to have this electrical ready for another month, you can't really expect me to again, pay you lot rent when you don't even have the lot prepped and ready for me to use. Things happen. It is what it is. We had another one where it was a tree. The tree was on the backside of the mobile home, and it was so close that it had actually moved the mobile home just slightly. That tree had been growing for a while, and it was just that right on the bottom where the root was at, that it was starting to push over. Problems will get better over time, right? So it's one thing that we had to report, and it went on to take a couple of weeks, but we had to get it cut down. We had to get that tree cut down. And yet again, do you think we can split that bill? Absolutely not. I mean, business is business. They had to cut that. So all in all, learn what you're responsible for. Every park is a little bit differently. Every park has a bit of different rule regulations, but you have to abide by those just as much as they do. Questions for me? I know we went through this call quickly, and here's the advertisement that I have. If you have a question, stop me, raise your hand, or drop a comment. I'm going to advertise a couple of things here that are coming. They're in the make. So a couple of people had asked me, well, now that the shadow's over, we didn't get to attend, and I'm going to call you out. I had 2 people say they couldn't make it out there because it was too cold. Guys, you want it or you don't. Okay. Will there be another shadow soon? Yes, January 2022, probably the 3rd or 4th week. We'll have it ready and set for that. Will there be any other coaching since then? Because another call that we had was the meetup, and that was actually in person. It was a meetup where we held in Atlanta every second Tuesday of every month because of football, sports, etc. Where we were holding at Taco Mac, it started to get a little too loud, a little too rowdy kind of thing. So we didn't care to compete with that. So we made it into a virtual, which we tried last month. It was okay. It was a good beginning to that. But the one thing that we are going to start, and this should start as early as next month, we're putting it together. It's going to be a 1 call a week. 1 call a week. It's going to be an hour to an hour and a half. Now, this is going to be very much as to what you just saw me do, but at a lot slower pace, because I want to get all the information to you. Guys, all I get is 30 minutes with you on a Sunday, so you can't expect but me to put so much information out there. But the webinars, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a subscription, a monthly webinar that's going to come in every week, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm not sure yet. It's probably going to be evening about this time. We obviously are mindful of people's time, work, etc. So we want to make sure that everybody gets on, and it will be recorded. So for anybody that subscribes to that, and we'll get advertisements. Monica, I'm sure we'll start blasting that very soon. We're putting it together yet, so we don't have all details, but I'm also giving you heads up. The calls, just like what you saw tonight here, all the information, we are going to be sharing it on that call. Okay, we're going to really get into that. And one thing that I always say is bring your questions ready. One of the things that made the shadow so much better this weekend is all the questions that were asked. When I first got started with Fortune Builders, you can give me to ask a question. Why? Because I didn't know what to ask. I was so fresh, so new that I didn't even know what was going on. I knew they were talking about real estate. That's as far as I knew. Okay. So in the same way, it is if you ask a question, you're probably answering somebody's question that they didn't even know was a question. So that always helps out. Okay. So for these webinars that we have coming, that's definitely going to make a big difference. For those of you, especially if you already done a deal, a couple of deals, and you're out there, you've seen some of these problems, bring those questions to there. Answer these for everybody. We will record those calls for people who subscribe. They'll get a copy probably. We'll put all this together. This is more very early advertising for it. But to answer that question, yes, no more shadows for the rest of the year. But there is a webinar that's coming, and we'll make it about different topics, just like what you've been seeing on here, and then some. We'll have guest speakers also. I have a few lined up already that are heavily wanting to come on these calls. I've told them there's not enough time, not no 30 minutes wise anyway. But when we go to an hour, hour and a half, yes, even some of my coaches have talked about coming on here. Some of my coaches, this is not a bragging. Hugh Hilton, Bruce Buffer, George Ross, JT, I mean, many coaches, and they will bring it when they come on these calls. So all of you subscribe to the call when it takes place and let me know. Monica, was there anything you wanted to announce on here?
I just wanted to let everybody know that if you are gonna plan for next year, I would like to see so many of you be successful in this business. And it's all a matter of you planning ahead. Says Mr. Garcia is saying that in January, we are gonna start with the shadow events again. Just start planning, thinking about it, you know, prepare yourselves because these are just getting better and better as far as I can hear from Mr. Garcia. You know, even I would like to attend to every one of them. So once I'm settled in, for sure, I'll be there with you guys every month. I want to also increase and really grow my business, and this is the best way to do it. So I encourage all of you to start thinking ahead, start planning for these events, and also to check out our website. I'll go ahead and put it here. For those of you that would like to have questions one-on-one with Mr. Garcia, you know, you can beat that. An hour with him, you know, you all have to invest in your business. We are business owners. And for that reason, you know, it's amazing to have someone like him that has the experience and the knowledge that will guide you step by step at what everything that you need to know about this business. So I will highly, highly suggest for you to go on those calls, you know, invest in yourself. You know, there's no other way to grow the business except to grow by investing in yourself. So I'll go ahead and put the website. Any questions that any of you might have, I'm also a student. Feel free to call me and I'll be more than glad to answer questions as well. So I'll go ahead and put out my email. My phone number is there. And I highly encourage you, all of you.
Absolutely. And the best way to keep up with our upcoming events, we do have a CRM. So if we don't have your email, if you're not already getting our emails with advertisements of events coming up, deals coming up, send us your email. Send it to Monica so she can add you to that. We have another set of emails that are about to start coming out, more so just for deals directly. We're about to pick up on that. Okay, so we got that, but definitely visit GarciaMHU.com and click on the LinkedIn. LinkedIn app is on there, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all the above. If you go on and subscribe to that, we typically post the same thing on every platform. So you definitely can't miss what we have up and coming. Okay. But okay, great call. We're going to speed through these on Sundays because we do have the webinars where we're going to take things a little bit slower. I'm going to try to talk a little slower anyway. We'll see how that works out. But if no other questions, thank you all for joining me. And we will see you Tuesday. Don't forget Tuesday. We got some new deals for you. Tuesday coming up. We're about to do those calls a little bit differently as well. So again, give me suggestions. All I can work on is based on what you need. I can best deliver that way. So we will see you on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Let's do deals call. Thank you, everybody, for joining.